since the newspapers and probably everyone you know are talking mostly about war and peace right now, mostly war. Um, it seems to need to be addressed. I talked last week about Ecclesiastics, and to everything there is a time and a season. Um, but I have to tell you, this is, I think, very important. The worst war zone in the world that I've seen mostly is in people themselves. And I will include all of us in that. We almost all live in a war zone. And of course, the war is with ourselves, with our own minds, with our emotions, with our fears, expectations, frustrations, angers, hostilities, all of that. Trust me, it's as big a war in many ways as the war that's happening on the other side of the world right now, but which feels like it's encroaching in major ways on this side of the world. And in a way, it's unavoidable because we're all war zones, because we're all in battle with ourselves every day, and because the lessons we wish for the parties involved in the larger war to learn are lessons we have to learn for ourselves. How do we make peace with us? How do we make peace with our own inner demons, fears, hostilities, long bred narrative stories about who we are and who we aren't, and all the quickness to respond angrily to everything in life, which, we're all guilty of that. We all have a kind of response to life that is often like quick and angry and annoyed and hostile. And it's the source of worldly suffering. And it's happening everywhere. Now it's erupting again, and not that it has ever really gone away in global, or not yet global, conflict, but in a kind of manifestation of us. We are the source. And, you may judge yourself differently. Some of you may all be in places of enormous peacefulness and contentment and transcendence, and have found absolute kindness and gentility in yourself and are operating in a state of grace, which would be absolutely wonderful. And I do know all of you to some degree, and I see that in various moments. I see the grace in all of you who make your way to this teaching. Grace is already operating because it's saying, help me. How do I find peace? How do I make peace? How do I make peace with myself? How do I deal with these noises in my head that make me feel lesser or other or frustrated or annoyed by what I have or don't have, or what I should have had, or how it could have been? How do I live with that? And I have to say, I don't meet many people who are really good at it. I meet a lot of people who are trying, and I include myself in all of what I'm talking about. I see the struggle, I see what's involved, and I see the gift of possibility of making peace outside yourself and inside yourself. And it has to do with, and forgive me, this is a word that goes back thousands of years and is a simple teaching, kindness. It has to do with being kind to yourself regularly. And then to measure your kindness to yourself, you will begin to have experiences with the other, which is really part of the self. And the other will be people you know who are in your life every day, who come every other week or whatever it is. You will have experiences with the other that can be gentle, kind, easy, flowing, or can erupt into annoyance or outright hostility. We all have that capacity, and we all tend to go to war on a regular, probably daily basis with the other or with ourselves. So we're pretty well practiced at how to do battle. We're not all good at it. Some of us are, we're victimized endlessly by ourselves, and then we allow others to victimize us as well. And then we react with hostility, which creates a war zone that we inhabit. And we live in that war zone, and we wonder why life is so awful and so difficult. And then people like Buddha and Jesus and other teachers come into the picture and talk about love and joy and humility and do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And we look at that as like, yeah, a great teaching, but, and the word but comes up all the time. And there's some of us who are real big butters, but yeah. And you end up in a state of supporting your own war, supporting your own hostility, because everyone else is the problem, or you can't find your own path to a stable peace solution. It's a temporary solution. It's the two-state solution, or the not having two-state solutions, or destroy the enemy, get rid of the enemy. We all know the tropes of war zones. They're pretty awful. And the fact that we're always seeing them outside in other places rather than in ourselves is because we have an endlessly righteous sense of who we are. Who are we? Who is this person who is able to look at the world clearly and go, look, that's terrible and that's so problematic, or turn off the news and not look at it. We make all these choices, but the reality is we have to look at the source of conflict in the world as a source that comes from us, because we are connected to the universal. We are connected to the ecclesiastical awareness to everything. There is a season, and there will be war, and there will be peace, as a part of who we are. So I've been watching myself very clearly over the years, and more so in recent time. And I have been learning all sorts of lessons. And I try to communicate those lessons as best I can as an imperfect communicator. Imperfect because I'm human, and because I have all the same issues that everybody else has. And I turn on the news and I have to go, I can't handle it. It's fearsome. It's frightening. And it becomes a problem. However, I have this incredible capacity to push a switch that goes, nope. And I turn it off. And I don't go there. And so for the last 3 weeks, I have gone, no. And I have found it unbelievably empowering. I don't have to go to that space. And then it's erupted into something bigger, because I started to see that I'm part of a organization. It's an art gallery, which, I was very grateful to be accepted to, and really thinking, wow, this is a gift, and I'm being so acknowledged, and I'm feeling so, part of a community. And then I started discovering it's a lot of work. It's not exactly fulfilling. Having my work in front of people doesn't satisfy all that much in me. I don't need to sell it. And so it's not essential that I be there, but I felt I'm committed. These people accepted me. They were caring for me, but I started finding some hostilities in the environment. I don't want to go into all the mix of it, but here's what I want to say. I left. I said, goodbye. And it was like, I was so traumatized by doing it, but I realized I can say no. Goodbye. And I did it lovingly, and they responded lovingly, which is amazing. And I learned so much. But what I really learned was about empowerment, that I can say no to the very thing that I think is giving me identity and support and acknowledgement and all the things that our ego mind seems to think it needs. I don't need it. I don't need it. What's happening in empowerment is the ability to go, I don't need to fight a war. I can make peace with myself. I can make peace with the world. And you know what peace feels like? I have to say, it's really kind of interesting. It feels mellow. Mellow. It's like, oh, I'm not used to mellow. I have moments of mellowness, and my meditations are incredibly mellow. And I teach in class, and mellow is an element of it, although it's much more energetic. And I have friends, mostly drugged, but they are all in contentment space. And I go, how do they get contented? But I know how they do, because they take a pill every day, and they're contented. But I have to say, contentment's a great word. Contentment comes from peace, being at peace. So I'm trying to find contentment. Well, we have a street just up the road here that's called Contentment Lane. So I get up, I walk to Contentment Lane, I take a picture of myself in front of the sign that says contentment. And for the first time in my life, it's real. I go, hey, I've arrived at contentment. And it's really, really a wonderful place to arrive at. And I don't in any way think it's permanent, because permanence is not quite a part of the human condition. We are impermanent. Life itself is impermanent. Everything will keep changing. But there is this thing inside us, accessible through your chakras, that is peaceful. It actually is content and mellow. And you can go there. And we have, as a gift to this teaching that we have been following, access points to peace, joy, mellowness, ease, quietude, and all of that, which is the opposite of embattlement and war. So when the war front starts to show in every part of your life, or at least in your brain, you can go, nope, and move into mellowness and contentment inside yourself, if you have paved a path to that spot. A lot of people think, oh, it's so hard and it's 50 years of meditating and doing all that. It really is not that hard. If you can open your heart to anyone in the world that you might love, and hopefully there's one, this will open the door. If you can't do that, you go into this space, which is kind of amorphous in a way, but it's a heart, and you've felt it at various times. You go into that chakra, you take your breath that Rudy taught you, you draw the energy of life into that space, and you say, please help me to surrender, which means to open my heart to peace, to contentment, to mellowness, to ease, to grace, to seeing the sacred in life. Right here, it's not that hard. And if it's hard for you, then you really need to do it. If you are at war with that part of yourself, welcome to the human race, but it's a really sad place to live your life. And there are many, many, many people living their lives there, and I will include all of us. I'm not going to make it about you. I very much see the process. It is work. And Rudy said, do the work. And I constantly do the work. And I've said this before, but the other night, 4 a.m. maybe, panic attack out of nowhere. I go, but I've been meditating for, all these decades. What's a panic attack? And why am I having a panic attack? I didn't like it. But rather than become analytical and rather than try to do something about it, in some external way, I just said and heard Rudy say, do the work. So I took a breath. And they also tell me, which very directly, use my mudra, physical hand things, which may or may not make sense to you, but mudra work is unbelievably potent. And they said, do it. But I'm lying in bed. It's 4 a.m. I don't want to do mudra work. And it goes, do the work. So I just put my fingers together like this, and I usually arrange them in a position that I'm told to do, which seems really ridiculous when you're lying in bed. But I just do it. And then this thing goes, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And all I'm doing, two things: listening to a voice that says, do the work, and there's something to do, so it's directive. And then I am demonstrating, yes, I am collaborating with this unseen, unknowable voice. And I am demonstrating in the middle of the night that I hear it. And it likes that. And as a result of liking it, it goes, and this panic turns into such love and such massive gratitude. And I just go, and then I'm sleeping again. So I'm telling you this not to praise Bruce, but to tell you we can all do that. We can all do that. And if you start to have any of these issues, which you may as you get older in life and all the distractions go away, you start to discover there are all these unresolved things that need to get done. And you need to listen to the voices that come through and follow that. They used to say, follow your heart, which is better than follow your mind, truly. Follow your heart or follow your gut, also incredibly powerful. but demonstrate it. It's not just a like intellectual, yeah, okay, right. It's show it, live it, do it, moment to moment. So when I am in the bathroom in the morning and I hit the toothpaste and it falls on the floor and I go, oh shit, I do that thing. And then I go, whoa, whoa, this happened. You do not have to use it as a signal to be angry at the world and angry at your hand and angry at your drama in life. Just quietly take this as an opportunity to pick up the toothpaste and put it back on the shelf without cursing the universe for having made you bend and do the work. It is so crazy that we get annoyed and angry at life in those little instances. And then, of course, we get angry at the really big ones. We get really angry. And if you live in that hostile space, welcome to humanity, but it's no fun. It is no fun. And you don't have to live there. You can do the work every day. Take a breath, ask for help to surrender, to let go, to open, to accept, whatever word you use, to the reality of life, from dropping the toothpaste on the floor to somebody asking you to do something you don't want to do, to creating a moment with somebody else that's hostile. Blanche and I have all these issues because Blanche is losing her hearing and we're both losing our minds and memory. So if you want to have a reason to have hostile moments, they come up all the time. I say, Blanche, I've told you that 12 times. That is not a good reaction in life. It does not make Blanche happy. It does not make me happy. And we're both like that. And the lesson is so clear. I look at Blanche now as my great teacher because she either didn't hear me or didn't remember it. We have no way of knowing which it is. But whatever it is, it's shut me down or shut her down. And trust me, if I get angry at Blanche, it comes back 12-fold. So it is not a good relationship thing to have. So what you have to do is the opposite of going, don't react. Do not do that. Do not do that. Find kindness. Find a way to be gentle with your partner. And that makes your partner, one, your best teacher. Truly, I learn from Blanche every day, many times, as does she from me. And we have found a way of being in a state of generalized grace. We always forget, and then we make these little, annoyances come into big life, and then we apologize. And we turn it around and we make it so that we break down the tension of the drama that could ignite into, if you want it to, a World War III. It's no reason for that. There's no reason. And people do it out of ignorance, out of impatience, out of forgetting. People do it all the time in their lives, and it's crazy. It is so crazy. And that's why I started this out as saying the worst war zone in the world is in you. Because you can go to World War III in an instant. And it's not worth it. You have a capacity for peace and kindness and understanding, working out treaties with other beings, and finding a way to make life gentle and joyful and loving and easy, and make it happen all around you. And then guess who gets to live in a peaceful environment? You do. And if you create a war zone, guess who gets to live in that? Now it's far more dynamic than what I'm describing. This is the simplified version of it. But the reality is, for all of us, the world loves peace and it loves war, and it always has. And we live in a universe, Ecclesiastes says it, a time for peace, a time for war, time to be born, a time to die. That's the way it is. It ain't going to change. How are you going to live in that? That's up to you. And right now it is, it's not sunny, but it's really lovely. The weather's beautiful. Here's a peaceful space. It could change in an hour in terms, who knows, the world is so crazy. But right now it's peace. If you were to be in a war zone right now, of course, you have to react differently. But I'm telling you, the secrets that I'm talking about in terms of how to live in your own private war zone will magnify and help you in dealing with a real war zone. Some of the images I see, this goes back to my childhood because I was born in World War II, and goes through the course of watching news over 80 years. what happens to many people in war zones is they wake up. They realize being at war with yourself in the middle of a war is madness. Madness. And kindness is often one of the results of war. People being kind to each other, reaching out to each other, helping each other. But then the moment peace comes back, you create your own war zone again. So try to find the path to this awakening of yourself of peace, mellowness, contentment, ease, whatever it is, love, joy. Try to find that path. Make it a part of your daily effort in life, and kind of like all day long, because it's not something you just do for 20 minutes while you're meditating. You got to do it all the time. And if you do, you are a creator of peace in the world, and the world, if I can say it this way, will love you for it. They will just love you for being that. And part of the instruction I keep getting nowadays, kind of a weird one, but again, I don't ask questions so much. They just say, stop right now and love the world. Send peace and love into the world. I go, but I'm supposed to be, I don't say anything. I just stop and I go, it is an amazing thing. I do not understand it for a second. It doesn't make sense. Who am I and what value is this having? But I will tell you, this peace goes out, and it's so extraordinary. I don't know that it has any impact anywhere. It doesn't make cognitive sense at all, but it feels right, and it's the right thing to do. George and Cheryl bought me a little sun-driven Tibetan prayer wheel that's sitting right over there that goes around all day long when the sun comes out. And I walk around my house a lot, and I feel the prayers being emanated all day long, thanks to the sun, thanks to the prayer wheel, thanks to George and Cheryl. And I go, this is really beautiful. It's such an emblematic thing that all we need to shine the light on the prayer wheel of our lives and send this thing out as often as we can. And if we do, you will see that prayer wheel going around inside you all day long, and you will feel that you are really being part of and well used by the world and by the sources that brought this world into being. And that's a great gift. So I wish you all well with this. I wish you peace in yourself. I wish us peace in the larger scheme of things, and we'll need to talk about this week by week, because it never ends. It's an ongoing struggle, and we're all part of it. So help each other, okay? Thank you. Of course, questions. Anybody? George.
It's coming to my mind when you're saying we're all experts on everybody else's problems. This reason what you deal with. But how do we stop judging everything?
Quiet. Just say shh. Right. It's really interesting. We really do live in.
I realize that, but then
you can. It just takes constant reaction. You have to try it over and over and over and over. You just go shh when you see yourself doing it. But being conscious of it is the first part. When you see yourself doing it, then you go, oh. And then you stop being this judge, because half of your war zone effort is going, they're bad and I'm not. They're imperfect and I'm fine. Not quite the case usually. And if you find yourself judging people, you can, well, look at yourself and see probably some reasons you're the judge and why you're angry by it, what annoys you by it, because that's kind of interesting. But secondly, just go, no, nope. And I've taught the word nope a lot, because it's a real key if you can remember to do it. You say it fast enough when things come up, and you get rid of it. And you don't spend, hours and days and months and the rest of your life being angry about something that happened at some point and then totally shapes who you are. That's a ridiculous situation, but it happens everywhere. And I am, for some reason at this moment in my life, I'm having dialogues with lots and lots of people. The level of suffering and self-suffering that is available to people right now is like nothing I've witnessed before. Now, I know it's always been there, but it's like the universe is just showing me one after another. Oh my God, the depth of confusion and difficulty and struggle in most people is enormous. And why is it coming to me? Well, the thing that I'm getting the lesson of is because you can help. And the way you can help pretty simple. One, listen. You don't have to be an advisor unless that comes up. And if for me, I talk. So stuff comes up, but mostly it's to listen, to embrace, to hug and go, yeah. People want to be heard. They want it to come up. And where possible, you instead of judgment and anger and hostility, you just place this incredible kind of dollop of love in their heart and let it nurture, bakes. Sally, you know all about baking. This little clump of something turns into the sweetest cupcake you've ever had in your life. But you're not in charge of the cupcake. You just make the dough, and you put it in the oven for people. And that's what we do. And if you remember to do that, you're having an amazing life. And, again, I'm so aware of being instructed to do stuff. I don't know who the teacher instructor is. I mean, I give it names like the guys upstairs or God or holiness or whatever. But all I know is I am being told to do stuff and I'm doing it. That seems to be what happens. Listen closely, act. It's a big deal. And when you start to get in punishing mode for other people, anybody else? We're all loaded with questions, but I know nobody really wants to ask, and nobody here either. Class. Okay. Okay. Thank you all. Next week is a California class, but as I've said, I'm beginning to say more and more. Anybody else who wants to sign on to that Zoom is welcome to do that. Thank you guys for being here. I love you all so much, really deeply, profoundly. I'm grateful for your showing up. And stay well and stay at peace.